I am one woman fighting a multi-billion-dollar machine for an intellectual property that I invested 17 years of my life into. And if you follow me, if you go to Worth Media, you will see the comparisons. You will see that it is obviously at least a situation where I deserve the opportunity to sit before a judge and a jury and have them tell me what they think. Like you guys look at it and you tell me what you think. And I know people think that is clout chase. And I said this in my last live before it was disrupted. But I know people think that this is clout chasing, and I just want to challenge anybody who wonders why I'm advocating for myself so much, to check my record. I am a person who advocates not only for myself, but I advocate for women and girls my whole life, my whole career. So for people who think that I'm just doing this for clout or I'm doing this for recognition, again, like I said in my previous live, I don't know if you heard me, Michael Jackson gave me a record deal. I work with Tyler Perry and Meet the Browns. I partner with Queen Latifah in business. I don't need to sue anybody for clout. What I am doing in this situation is not just standing up for myself, but I'm standing up for any and every writer who was either afraid to. Sophia Stewart, who did The Matrix, the brother who did Good Times, the people who did Sesame Street, and now we're looking at our kids be disrespected at Sesame Place. What happens is in this industry, culturally incompetent people take our content, our preeminent business assets, the things that we could put back into our community, the resources that we make. They invested $100 million. This is per the head of STARZ. They invested $100 million into Katori Hall and P-Valley. That is $100 million that was invested into some of the stereotypes and the narratives. Yeah, we can look at it and say, oh, it's entertaining and, it's just gay sex and this and that and the third. But there is a way that we can tell our stories and we can be authentic and we don't have to talk like we have no education. We don't have to talk to each other in a disrespectful way. Our women don't have to show their asses and their boobs and twerk and slide down poles. I know strippers. There are strippers that I love that are close to me. I'm not putting their business in the street, but they don't love stripping. If you're going to tell stories about our people, especially if you're going to infringe on my copyright, then at least take the consideration of making sure that it's not something that takes us back. It's not something that the owners of the show, because allegedly, I'm just saying what I done heard, Katori Hall doesn't own P-Valley. So these people own these narratives and they own these likenesses and they own these stories that quite honestly, they got from me in season 1. Period. And a lot of what they're doing in season 2. And I'm going to fight for it. And I'm going to stand up not just for myself, but for anybody who might be afraid. It is not easy. Everybody who knows me knows I'm not going to hold it up and just act like this is just some easy shit that I'm blowing through. I have the weight of couple of billion-dollar companies on my shoulders. I don't know what part of that y'all don't understand. And when I take the time out to explain it and to speak up about it, I expect my people who care about fairness and equality, and Black women who have been treated like shit in this industry for hundreds of years, to at least take the time out to look at both sides of the story. To not just assume that I'm coming in here trying to attack Katori Hall, I'm coming in here trying to attack STARZ. Who does that? Who comes out of a pandemic of all things and decides, you know what? I'm going to come out of pandemic and go to war with STARZ for no good fucking reason at all. I pay my lawyers. Lord Heavenly Father, y'all don't understand how much good lawyers cost, especially when you got 5. So it's insulting not for people to have an opinion about me getting into this litigation with STARZ. That is not insulting. I expected that. What's insulting is for people who haven't taken the time out to go to worthmedia.com, WIRFmedia.com/worth news, and look at those obvious comparisons. What is insulting is for people to formulate an opinion and call me a clout chaser and I'm just trying to, like I'm out here looking for a fight, to not even take the time to look at the evidence that I presented. Nobody's suing a billion-dollar company on some BS, and no good lawyer is going to take that kind of case. Let me get back to this question I was going to answer from Lovebug. She asked me, have I talked to Katori Hall? No, I have not talked to Katori Hall. And honestly, obviously our lawyers are involved, so, we can't really talk to each other at this point. But I do have a question. My question is, if I could ask her a question, my question would be, what do you say to all of this? Like, what is your response? Is your response, it is a lie, it is not true, we'll see you in court? What do you say to this, right? Because I get not dignifying something with a response, but you have won a Pulitzer for writing Hot Wing King on Broadway. You revamped Tina Turner's life. You reimagined Martin Luther King in a hotel room with a maid. You are a writer and a thespian, and someone is accusing you of copyright infringement. I would just like to know where you are with all that. That's all. And I understand if you want to let the lawyers handle it and you can't say, but I mean, if somebody called me a infringer and a plagiarist, as important as my career and my reputation and all those things are to me, under no circumstances would I allow 2 years to go by without dignifying it with a response of saying that is not true and it will be proven in court. So I just want to hear you say that, sis. I mean, that is all. That is all. And again, I know it feels like I'm flogging or bullying, but you guys don't understand. I try very hard. And what time is my other panel? Okay, I got a minute. I try very hard to avoid this public fiasco because I knew that we were two women of color, two Black women. And the last thing the world needs to see are two women of color at each other's throat for any reason, no matter how justified it may be. So I did everything in my power, short of bow down and tether myself to reality. And unfortunately, this is where we are. So someone asked, do you think Tyler Perry will sue y'all both because he's done the same thing? Okay, so I ask you, Love Bug, and I hold no ill will towards anybody who disagrees with my position on this. That's why we go to court. That's why we have 12 jurors. You know, that's why we have a judge, because we want to give people the story and have people, you know, pick it apart. But I ask you, Love Bug, look at the evidence. Read the evidence. At the end of the day, I copyrighted my material in 2004. I've had several workshops of my material for the last 17 years. I had a DVD that we recorded in 2010. I had an airing on BET in 2011. I sat down and met with Lionsgate and gave them my deck, which included the noir look and feel. I gave them the DVD, I gave them the copy of the play script, and I gave them a copy of the pilot script for the dramatic series that I was pitching to the head of the network. And in 2020, I saw this show with the same beginning, middle, and end on STARZ, and it blew my mind. And my initial reaction was to let it go because I had just gotten out of an intellectual property war with R&B divas who said Hollywood divas wasn't the same thing. And I created R&B Divas. I cast the show. I flew the women down. I created the sizzle reel. I edited the sizzle reel. I hired the production company who took the show from me. So for me to sit back and not be vocal, and another infringement case that is still coming, connected to Soul Kitten's Cabaret, fighting for artists to get paid for streaming, which now, thank God, hallelujah, Sony, as a result of the conversations I had with them, a lot of people don't realize, have now decided that they're going to push forward and try to do things that lead to a healthier relationship with artists. So they created an Artist Forward program. Now artists are getting streaming revenue. So my point is just that if we don't speak up, if we don't run the risk of people looking at us like she crazy, she always going out, if we're not prepared to do that, we will never get anywhere as a people. Ownership. You talk about Tyler Perry. If someone took something that belonged to Tyler Perry, he would fight for it. And I'm sure people have, and I'm sure he has, right? Because I'm a Black woman, and I'm a Black woman who is connected to a show that I created that painted this picture of me being like this mean, angry, hostile, rude, nasty person, I was already fighting a war against people who didn't like me because of the image that white men put out because they wanted to take that show I created, right? The best way to prevent people from progressing is to attack the people in those places that are willing to speak up and stand up and put the fist up and say, this is not okay, this is not all right, to make us look crazy, to make us to look like we're doing something to hurt y'all. That is how they get over, the division tactic. And it's something that has unfortunately happened in my career since the beginning of my career, because there are people at Sony Music who will tell you I was 22, 23 years old asking questions. And I got labeled difficult and I got labeled a problem. And once you get labeled difficult and a problem in this industry, it's hard to get rid of that tag. So people feel like they can just do whatever the hell they want to do to you and convince your people to not believe you. So to answer Baller Alert's question, we are in court. We are going back and forth. And they are inundating me with paperwork because they don't have a case. So they're inundating me with paperwork. What they're banking on, and I don't know if I should be sharing this or not, but I just think you have to speak it when it's on your heart, and it ain't that many of y'all on here because they're limiting my reach, but it's all good. They're trying to overwhelm me with paperwork. I believe that they want to outspend me. I believe. We have luckily been blessed with people who are booking us and helping on a lot of levels, but I'm not going to pretend for 5 minutes. I should be focused on building my foundation, which uplifts women and girls and mental health and mental wellness. And I am focused on that, but I should be fully focused on launching my Worth Media, women in reality, film, TV, music, and media platform. I should be fully immersed in getting this R&B Divas reunion. We're coming up on a 10-year reunion for R&B Divas. What they want is for me to just let it go. What they want is for me to be outspent. What they want is for me emotionally, physically, and spiritually to just give up. And I'm just that crazy that I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna. It's too important. What I want is them to run me my money so they can go do whatever the hell they want to do with that show. But I want them to understand in running me my money so they can go do whatever they want to do with that show, that this was a 17-year+ investment of blood, sweat, tears, time, money, and energy, right? You gave Katori Hall $100 million for ideas she did not create. That is not my issue. We gonna win this case. And the reason it's so important to do that for me is because I'm so excited about all the content that we're going to put out on Worth Media, all the jobs that we're going to provide for young content creators, and not just jobs that we're going to provide for young content creators, but I'm excited about the partnerships that we're going to establish with women, Black women and girls, and the stories that we're going to be able to tell that are going to help heal us. Content and stories and media and how we see ourselves in media. And see, I'm getting into some. Well, y'all getting a little sneak peek of the Nights with Nikki podcast. The reason why Pam, Price, myself, Lucia, Tosha, Christine, all the women, everybody who was involved in building this Worth Media platform. The reason why we felt like it was so important is because we got tired of seeing ourselves. What you say, Pam? We building legacies and sustainable pipelines for future. There it is. That's why she's the president of my foundation and my chief technical officer at worthmedia.com, because she understands how to say it exactly the way we mean it. We are building legacies and sustainable pipelines for future generations. Thank you, Pam. What we want people to know about us, and by us, I mean Black people, I mean Black women, I mean Black girls, is that we are multidimensional. We're not monolithic. We do not all fight. We are not all strippers, although I love strippers and I got love for strippers. And this is an attack on strippers of Katori Hall. But I'm tired. Like, if you think about it, every person that is hugely successful right now, that is a major successful person, most of those people are either came from stripping, were strippers, dressed like strippers, twerk like strippers. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's become a thing where our girls don't understand that you can be something that doesn't require you to show your ass, literally. That doesn't require you to beat up your sister. That doesn't require you to show that you the bad bitch. And and it's so important for us to know how great we are. It's so important for us to know Lena Horne and Nina Simone and Diane Carroll and Class and Sass. And yeah, we can roll our necks and suck our teeth. And yeah, most of us can be a bit, just because I'm not on here cussing, I cuss so good. And now that I'm a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated and I'm representing my sisterhood, I'm gonna try to cuss less. But for real, I cuss so good, I could cuss somebody out so good. We looking at that flashback of R&B Divas where Selena is going in on me. Baby, it took everything in my power for me to keep that teacup in my hand and not it be a challenge of Detroit cussing and Chicago cussing. Because the Detroit cussing and the Chicago cussing, baby, that clip of me getting cussed out at that table would have just been Godzilla and Monstra, because it would have been a whole thing. So I had to make a decision in that moment to sit there and get red for filth. And yes, it's around for all the world to see, but because I don't have an ego that allows me to feel that much concern for people who don't know me, and how they feel about me, and people who aren't willing to get to know me and how they can feel about me, I'm good. But it really is very hard when you have the ability to meet fire with fire, to choose love and to choose water. But you remember that episode, Summer? I see you. Yep, absolutely. She read me, and y'all had a teacup in my hand, and it was like, is this the moment I stand? And you notice I stayed sitting down because me and Selena the same height. We got the same vocal range. And thank God. The other part of it that sucks about that, and this is, I didn't mean to get on to me and Selena and R&B Divas thing, but God has put it on my heart to say this. Selena and I are good now. Selena and I are sister sorors. Selena is a Zeta. I am a Sigma Gamma Rho sorority incorporated soror, and we had a chance to hug it out. Selena left me a beautiful, beautiful message some years after the R&B Divas franchise ended, and I respect her. I think she's absolutely stunning. I think she's smart. I think she is super talented. And believe it or not, me and Selena were, y'all saw we were tight. Probably, around the tightest at the beginning of this thing. She was coming back and forth. I was helping her find a house, offered to let her and her family stay in mine. And I think about the power that she and I could have had together, right? I think about how powerful we could have been in that franchise, and kind of, I understand why we were both manipulated to become this, right? And it is a small example of a very big problem in media, entertainment, Black women's sisterhood as a whole. We tend to really, because we are weapons. We are. If we choose to use our abilities in that way, they know how powerful we are, just in our ability to stand up for ourselves and to speak truth to power and to protect and to lay down our lives for those we love and the causes we believe in. And when they are able to manipulate that power based on fame and money and success, the illusion of it, and have us direct that power to each other, then it disconnects us from our unity, and it puts us in a place where we are used as weapons against each other, so they don't have to get their hands dirty. And the reason that I'm fighting this, and I mean, look at what's happening with me and Katori Hall. Like I said, do your research if you think Katori Hall owns P-Valley and makes the decisions above STARZ, Lionsgate, and those folks. I would be surprised. I'm not saying that it is not true. I'm just saying that in all likelihood, she don't own it. And when I went in there and pitched them, I pitched them an ownership scenario. I pitched them a co-ownership scenario. I pitched them a scenario where we would be partners, and it would be fair, and it would be amicable. And I walked out of that pitch feeling really good about it, and didn't know how they felt about it until I looked up, 6-7 years later, and saw P-Valley without my involvement. And it just made me realize. And then I did some research, and I realized that, through seeing some videos and content that, has been left lying about in the YouTube space, that STARZ and Lionsgate really pushes towards ownership of the things that they produce, right? So I realized then that maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Allegedly, maybe they just, because the stories are the same. And like I said, my play was out in 2004, and I had marquee talent: Fantasia, Tatiana Ali, Trinice, Faith, Selena. That's the show that built R&B Divas and made the R&B Divas franchise. So why they chose her play that went up one time at one little small theater, and words out of her mouth per video that I have, didn't make any money. Why they chose her play over my play that had been kind of out and about and shown or whatever for the 15 years prior, I don't know. All I can go to is maybe because I was asking for ownership. Maybe because I was asking for partnership. Maybe because I was asking for one of them deals that Tyler Perry got with y'all. Because Tyler Perry was able to go in and license his content. And imagine, I just think about how many opportunities I would have created, could have created, will create, but would have and could have and should have by now created for Black women. How many stories I would have told, how many spinoffs there would have been. I think about with R&B Divas, how if Think Factory Media, who we brought on board, and TV One really treated me like the creator and the co-owner and the partner that I was, then how much opportunity for employment, how many Black women would be working, how much we could sow back into our community, because I'm a real one, contrary to what anybody thinks. This is not about clout, period. Um, this is about community, and this is about building and growing. And like I said before, our biggest enemy is when we turn Black women on each other. That's it. But let me tell you guys the reason why I have to stay fighting and I have to constantly stay in this space. Because there are young women who are being molested in their bedrooms by their cousins or uncles or baby mama boyfriends or whatever. And there are young girls who have been raped, and there are people who have been sexually assaulted at work, and there are women who have just been downright disrespected and dogged, who see me, this big mouth, big head, always talking from Detroit woman with all this confidence, go out and speak to people with my evidence, with the things that I have them come back and call me a clout chaser and I'm chasing for attention and whatever. What does that say to somebody who has a story that they need to tell, a testimony that they need to make? What does it say when your own people, and surprisingly, a lot of Black women, which is the shit that really trips me out, but I digress. What do these people think when they see quote unquote strong, vocal, confident people getting ripped to shreds for speaking their truth to power? It's so dangerous and it's so toxic. And that is why this case, which happens to be about copyright infringement on its face, but it's actually more about just speaking up and being unafraid of losing friends and being unafraid of being not popular no more and being unafraid of losing work opportunities, because we have so much love in our hearts. We work so hard for everybody. But when it comes to standing up for ourselves, we get real scary. The reason why it's important to stay vocal is because those people see you. The people who have attacked you, the people who have abused you, the people who have disrespected you and stolen from you, they see you. They're watching every move you make. They on this live right now. They screen recording all of it. Got lipstick on my teeth? It's important for them to understand that you are willing and prepared to do whatever it takes to protect yourself, your assets, your legacy, because I'm working too hard for the future right now. I'm working too hard for young creatives to know that they don't have to sell themselves short, that fame ain't worth it. I wish all of these people who want so desperately to be famous would pay attention. It's heartbreaking to see that people will dance around and praise and talk about how brilliant and amazing a show that was stolen from another woman is, and not even take the time out to acknowledge that it is in court. We are in court. We are going back and forth, and they are inundating me with paperwork because they don't have a case. All right, I love you guys. Nice with Nikki podcast, Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. on worth.tv. Go subscribe, go look at Worth, and anything you can do to support our organization from the Bottom Up Foundation. We are a 501c3. These conversations and game is free, but if you want to support our organization, go to fromthebottomupfoundation.org or $fight number 4 Worth. Yeah, I got to plug that because this is a machine that requires support to keep going. And support us. Do what you can. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Come see us in Charlotte if you're there. And remember, fight for Worth. Peace.